Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 27th of January 2025. Time is 12:25 p.m. I'm sneaking a bit of a quick video in, hoping to finish it in an hour because I've got some lovely visitors coming to see me this afternoon. Belinda and Bill from West End Drumming Circle. And they haven't been to my home, and I've known them for 5.5 years. I met them just after my near-death experience surgery, my gallbladder surgery, and on the 25th of July, about 3 weeks later, I thought, I haven't died, and it was close, and I'm going to have to try branching out and do new things and get out and meet more people and open myself up to the world, which I did. Like, I've been attending the drumming circle ever since, but we hadn't got to the part where I'd actually invited anybody home. And so this year, towards the end of last year actually, I thought it's time to open up to people and not live in such a reclusive hermitage. And so I said to Belinda, I said, I've been to your house many times over the years, and would you like to come and visit me? So today's the day. I'm a bit excited having visitors, and they're a lovely couple. They've been very kind and supportive to me over the years, so it'll be nice to have them in my home and let them see how I exist in this very strange world. It's been a very hard day today. Charlie died yesterday morning at 8:13, and it's hard going past her room because I emptied out the cage and all the mat that I have on the floor to catch her pepperkins, and I went in there yesterday afternoon to put the books I bought at Bookfest away, and there's a huge hole in my chest and in the house and in the garden. But I was gifted some wild bird visitors. Actually, I'll read it to you what I write. I write zany things on Instagram and Facebook. I've always done that. Little dialogues with various entities, seen and unseen. So I'll just read that quickly to you because it's kind of cute. Well, I think it's cute. If you don't think it's cute, you have the power of the on-off switch to turn me off. But anyway, I didn't sleep very much last night because probably grief and distress over losing my girl. So I was up from about 4:30 in the morning. But anyway, I wrote this. It's a picture of one of my wild pets, my wild birds that hang around. Usually keep Charlie and I company, but now they're just keeping me company. And they're very lovely. They're very lovely, and they watch over me a bit, which is gorgeous. So 5:03 a.m, sun had not long been up. Kookaburra friend has come to watch me. What you doing up this early, Mama T? There's been a great disturbance in the field, Cookie. What's that, Mama? Our most precious beloved one has entered the light. It is the first dawn without her. She left us the first morning after the planetary alignment, which I was so stressed on the evening of the 25th, I didn't even get to see, by the way. Life will never be the same again, Cookie Bird. Okay, Mama. I'm going to just sit here on this hill's hoist, naked tree thingy, and hold space for you, which is exactly what he was doing. It was gorgeous. So I replied, thanks, boychik. Boychik's a Yiddish word for, sonny or kiddo or sweet boy. Thanks, boychik. You the man. Love you. Love you too, Mama T. Just hold the line It's all going to be okay. Oh, Cookie, all the dark demons came out to play Friday night. They knew before I did that I was going to lose Charlie. They all wanted to ride on me. And actually, not just Friday night, but I even had a troll on Instagram trying to attack me on some comment I wrote about something I can't remember. And it was kind of vicious. It's like they literally, the evil fucking cesspit demon spawned ones, pile on when I'm grieving an animal. Happens every time. It's quite astonishing. So, of course, instant block and delete, because I wasn't in any mood to deal with idiots. But anyway, Cookie replies, "Yes, Mama T, they do that when they think you are vulnerable, but you showed them your power. Don't worry, we birds have your back. Only real loves gain access to you now. We will love and protect you forever." I actually kind of believe that, to be honest. Birds love me. All animals love me. Some humans love me, but most don't. Most don't comprehend me, and I'm okay with that. Didn't have my walk. Can't walk your own walk and talk your own talk. Don't even sneeze near me. I've got no time for idiots. Anyway, Size, that's short for my nickname, Psychedelic Dreamer Size. I just need to sneeze all of a sudden. Excuse me. Size. Here we go. Oh, goodness. I wish I could trust in that little bird one. Usually I refer to them as little ones. But since I was talking to a kookaburra, I said little bird one. He replies, "Oh, Mama, you are speaking with Kookaburra, singer of the sunrise. A new dawn is coming. Rejoice, breathe life, love, and peace," she says, although I'm not willing to deal with idiots, so do try to maintain some peaceful decorum till it gets OTT and something has to be pulled into life. But anyway, Cookie says, "I will hold you precious." And I replied, "Okay, Cookie, okay." So it was quite mad, of course, my imagining this conversation with the bird. But on the other hand, it was comforting, spiritual and edifying, and that bird sat there the whole time for that imaginary conversation, and then he flew off. So earlier I wrote 4:42 a.m, so I was up from 4:45, just not like me. Listening to the kookaburras serenading the dawn, in pain in my upper back muscle behind my heart, which is a grief manifestation. I have given up on sleep now. Why flog a dead Mustang Quay? Am I right? Time for a cup of tea. Breathe free of the mask, meaning the CPAP mask. Think great thoughts. Contemplate my future. And so that was this morning's whimsy. And then I had a visit from this guy who was so tame yesterday that I walked right past him. He didn't even flinch or move out of my way. Can you see him? And beautiful water dragon who's gotten used to my presence and doesn't run away from me anymore. He used to run away whenever he saw me. So that was sweet too. I literally walked right past him to put some things in the compost. And here's my monstera deliciosa. I think it's a tau though, in bloom again, and it's got some fruit. So don't know if that variety is edible, but I guess I'll find out eventually when the fruits are ready. We'll see. So I had a lovely morning early this morning, and then I was up for a while, and then I went back to bed and bombed out again for about another hour and a half because I really am quite exhausted. And then I got up and got dressed and tidied the place a bit more and went down to get some yummy things to offer my friends when they arrive. So it's all happening at Sacred Space today. It's all kicking on. And it's all kicking on. And I've got another wonderful thing to look forward to. My childhood friend, Margaret Jakovac, or Peyton's her married name. She's no longer married, but I'm sure her name's still Peyton. I'm not sure she uses her maiden or her maiden name. I still refer to her as Jakovac out of force of habit, really. Her parents were Croatian, and I grew up with her. I went to school with her at Caulfield State Primary School when I lived there for 3.5 years in Melbourne. I went to Caulfield, and then when we moved to Elwood, I went to St Kilda Primary School, which was a hellhole. They had to get me out of there and return me to Caulfield because I wasn't safe in that school at St Kilda. The bullying was that savage. So, but I've maintained this wonderful friendship with my wonderful friend Margaret, who I met when I was 9 years old when I first arrived in Melbourne. And so I'm almost 60, so I'm 59 still, and I've known her for 50 years. One of my longest friendships. Unfortunately, we don't see each other all that often because she lives in central New South Wales and is soon to move to Melbourne. So she's coming up for a conference of some kind. She's a journalist by profession, and she's making time to see little old me. So I'm very, very excited. Very excited. So for all my kvetching and cracksing and moaning and whining and crying and being a baby about being all isolated and alone, I'm seeing lots of lovely friends this week. So to you all. So let us continue with reading Julnar the Seaborn, part 2. We had to break it off because I actually ran out of video time. First video was 3 hours long and my laptop won't let me film beyond that. And Prince Badar Basim has just met Princess Johara sitting on top of a tree. Which seems a bit fairy, doesn't it? And he's introduced himself to her and asked her how she comes to be there, and she's told him that she's escaped Salih, which is Badr Basim's uncle, who fought her father, her sire, she puts it, but she means her father, slew his troops and took him prisoner with some of his men, wherefore I fled, fearing for my very life, presently adding, and I weet not what fortune hath done with my father. I don't know what has become of my father. So let us continue from that point. He's on King Badr, not Prince Badr. When King Badr Basim heard these words, he marvelled with exceeding marvel at this strange chance, and thought, doubtless I have won my wish by the capture of her sire. Then he looked at Johara and said to her, Come down, O my lady, for I am slain for love of thee. Oh, it's rather romantic, isn't it? dead of love for her. And thine eyes have captivated me. Oh, so romantic. People don't talk to each other like that anymore. It's a shame in a way. Everything's so crass and dirty and fingers going everywhere. And that's the women. I'm still pissed off about it, can you tell? But it's like, do you want to fuck instead of, would you like to get to know me and let me be captivated by your eyes? Would you like to go and have a, picnic or go for a meal somewhere or go for a walk along a river if you're that freaking poor, you got nothing to offer a woman? Do something. Oh my goodness, humanity. We've all turned into dead shit zombies. It's why I go off every time they play the song Zombie, because I've been living with zombies for 30 years. I used to be one when I was on hefty psych meds. I was a veritable zombie. But I'm back in full life now. Not quite full, but almost, because still struggling with the CPAP, but I'm pretty much there. When I get over the grieving process over Charlie, I'll be back in full swing again, and full swing, swinging those hips, baby, and quick repartee off the lips, and captivating with my eyes if I see someone of interest. More likely sending them death stares if they're inappropriate, zombie, inept, motherfucking, putrid, rape conscious, what's the word, rape cultured men. But there are lovely men out in the world, and I know, because they're my friends. So don't give up, sisters of Estros. There's a lovely man out there for you, and there's a lovely man out there for me. But I'm old now, so I don't worry about these things so much. But you younger ones, don't give up. But hold to your standards. Make them treat you like a queen. Nothing less, nothing more. Don't want to be a tyrant and dominate the poor, sweet, romantic ones. You just want to have equality and respect and genuine care. It's not a lot to ask, actually. But anyway, here we go, babies. Let's carry on with the story. On my account and thine are all these broils and battles, for thou must know that I am King Badr Basim, lord of the Persians, and Salih is my mother's brother, and he it is who came to thy sire to demand thee of him in marriage. I think that should have been demand him of thee in marriage the other way around. Yes, that's how it should have been. As for me, I have quitted my kingdom for thy sake. Well, who told him to? He did it he hadn't even met the woman. Based on, he heard some story about how beautiful she is, quits his kingdom. I mean, can we say codependent and desperate march? How many women would be in a kingdom and he's got to go chasing off to some female and his uncle started a complete war with them over what? Over someone he doesn't even know. I find that really a bit extreme and quite rude, actually. I mean, Helen of Troy, when they went to war over her, they at least knew her. They knew what they were fighting over, the face that launched 1,000 ships. What was her husband's name? I can't remember. Some complicated. Was it Agamemnon? I think it was Agamemnon. In Paris of Troy. But, the things people do for love, it gets a bit weird. I wonder if they even bothered to date Helen of Troy before they went to war over her. Well, her husband obviously had some kind of courtship with her, otherwise they wouldn't be married. But anyway, it all gets a bit silly when you think about it. Mama T is quite capable of being silly too. She reins it in, trust me on that one, so as not to frighten people. On some level I do get a little bit of a fresh song when I have a man weak at his knees and trembling with excitement for me. I'm like, what do you want? What do you want actually? But I'm not that mean to the ones that I'm actually attracted to. Just saying. But shh, let us never know. Just keep them a little bit left off centre like a metronome charting a beat of a great piece of music or some wonderful brush strokes on a great masterpiece. Just have them not quite sure what the final outcome might be. Because who knows, I don't even know either myself. It all comes down to destiny, people of Earth. The ones who really love you don't play games. And they know that you really love them back because you go all silly and you can't exactly hide it all that very well. I wish I had better skills at hiding things, but that's kind of manipulative too in a way, so maybe not. Maybe I should just be grateful that I'm me, weird as I am. Anyway, let us continue, my darling ones. Let us continue with the story. So, as for me, I have quitted my kingdom for thy sake. Still have to roll my eyes at that one. And our meeting here is the rarest coincidence. So come down to me, and let us twain fare for thy father's palace, that I may beseech Uncle Salih to release him, and I may make thee my lawful, wife. Just realised I've got the aircon on, and it's all blasting out down the hall. Oh, honestly, I'm off my head, people of Earth. I'm off my head. It's getting bad. Also, I think I need to dye this dress. It's getting all faded and I don't like that. Oh, and better yet, shout myself a new one because this one's about 5.5 years old. I bought it after that surgery. So there is that. Living in the past, people of Earth. Living in the past. Anyway. When Jahara heard his words, she said in herself, "'Twas on this miserable gallows bird's account, then, that all this hath befallen, and that my father hath fallen prisoner, and his chamberlains and suite have been slain. And I have been departed from my palace, a miserable exile, and have fled for refuge to this island. But, an I devise not against him some device to defend myself from him, he will possess himself of me, and take his will of me, for he is in love, and for aught that he doeth, a lover is not blamed." Oh, that culture, how they justify rape is just abhorrent, isn't it? There's nothing loving about just climbing on and helping yourself to a woman and saying, "Oh, it's because I was in love." Dear goddess. But anyway, we must remember to suspend belief because it's a fairy story. But, hashtag consent. Say to a woman, "I'm in love with you," and find myself passionately and enamored of you, and hope you feel the same way. And if she says, "Yes, I do," well, it's on, baby boys and baby girls, but, oh dear goddess. Anyway, then you have to, it's not funny, but you kind of have to laugh. me getting triggered over fairy stories. Well, it's because we've lived that lifestyle. It's not nice, not pleasant, not cricket, not kosher, not anything that you would ever want to participate in willingly. That's why I'm determined to make sure that if I ever have a sexual congress with a man again, that he is genuinely heartfelt in love with me and has respect to at least make sure that I'm quite happy to consent with that kind of activity with him, not just assume they can just do whatever they want because he's Tarzan and I'm Tanya. Anyway. Then she beguiled him with winning words and soft speeches. Why would you bother, honestly? Whilst he knew not the perfidy against him, she purposed. She wants revenge. I get it. In her situation, I'd want revenge too. And asked him, O my lord and light of my eyes, say me, art thou indeed King Badur Basin, son of Queen Julnar? And he answered, Yes, O my lady. Then she, May Allah cut off my father, and guard his kingdom cease from him, and yield not his heart, neither avert from him strangerhood, if he could desire a comelier than thou, or aught goodlier than these fair qualities of thine. By Allah, he is of little wit and judgment. Presently adding, But, O King of the age, punish him not for that he hath done, more by token into the net of thy love, and unbecome of the number of thy slain. The love that was with thee hath transferred itself to me, and there is left thereof with thee but a tithe of that which is with me. The tithe is 10% in the old days, I believe. That's why it was called a tithe. So saying, she came down from the tree, and drawing near him, strained him to her bosom, and fell to kissing him, whereat passion and desire for her redoubled on him, and doubting not but she loved him, he trusted in her and returned her kisses and caresses. Presently he said to her, By Allah, O princess, my uncle Salih set forth to me not a 40th part of thy charms, no, nor a quarter carat of the 24. Then Jawhara pressed him to her bosom and pronounced some unintelligible words, then spat on his face, saying, Quit this man of form and take shape of bird, the handsomest of birds, white of robe, with red bill and legs. Hardly had she spoken when King Badr Basim found himself transformed into a bird, the handsomest of birds, who shook himself and stood looking at her. I miss my bird. Sorry, I'm going to decompensate a little bit here. Now, Jahara had with her one of her slave girls by name. Masinaso, she called her, and said to her, "By Allah, but that I fear for the life of my father, who is his uncle's prisoner, I would kill him. Allah never requite him with good. How unlucky was his coming to us, for all this trouble was due to his hard-headedness. But do thou, O slave girl, bear him to the thirsty island, and leave him there to die of thirst." So Masina carried him to the island in question and would have returned and left him there. But she said in herself, "By Allah, the Lord of such beauty and loveliness deserveth not to die of thirst." So she went forth from that island and brought him to another abounding in trees and fruits and rills, and setting him down there, returned to her mistress and told her, "I have left him on the thirsty island." Mercy and compassion. Is it good or is it bad? I guess we'll find out. Such was the case with Badr Basim, but as regards King Salih, he sought for Jawhara after capturing the king and killing his folk, but, finding her not, returned to his palace and said to his mother, "Where is my sister's son, King Badr Basim?" "By Allah, O my son," replied she, "I know nothing of him, for when it reached him that you and King Al-Samandal had come to blows, and that strife and slaughter had betided between you, he was affrighted and fled." When Salih heard this, he grieved for his nephew and said, "O my mother, by Allah, we have dealt negligently by King Badr, and I fear lest he perish, or lest one of King Al-Samandal's soldiers or his daughter Jawhara fall in with him. So should we come to shame with his mother, and no good betide us from her, for that I took him without her leave." Then he dispatched guards and scouts throughout the sea and elsewhere to seek for Badr, but they could learn no tidings of him. So they returned and told King Salih, wherefore cark and care redoubled on him, and his breast was straitened for King Badr Basim. So far concerning nephew and uncle. But as for Julnar the Seaborn, after their departure she abode in expectation of them, but her son returned not, and she heard no report of him. So when many days of fruitless waiting had gone by, she arose, and going down into the sea, repaired to her mother, who, sighting her, rose to her and kissed her and embraced her, as did the mermaids, her cousins. Then she questioned her mother of King Badr Basim, and she answered, saying, "O my daughter, of a truth he came hither with his uncle, who took jacinths and jewels, and carrying them to King Al-Samandal, demanded his daughter in marriage for thy son, but he consented not, and was violent against thy brother in words. Now I had sent Salih nigh upon 1,000 horse, and a battle befell between him and King Al-Samandal. But Allah aided thy brother against him, and he slew his guards and troops and took himself prisoner," meaning took Salih prisoner. No, sorry, Al-Samandal, King Al-Samandal prisoner. Oh, I'm getting confused. Meanwhile, tidings of this reached thy son, and it would seem as if he feared for himself, wherefore he fled forth from us without our will, and returned not to us, nor have we heard any news of him. Then Julnar inquired for King Salih, and his mother said, He is seated on the throne of his kingship, in the stead of King Al-Samandal, and hath sent in all directions to seek thy son and princess Jauharah. When Julnar heard the maternal words, she mourned for her son with sad mourning, and was highly incensed against her brother Salih, for that he had taken him and gone down with him into the sea without her leave. And she said, O my mother, I fear for our realm, as I came to thee without letting any know, and I dread tarrying with thee, lest the state fall into disorder, and the kingdom pass from our hands. Wherefore I deem best to return and govern the reign, till it please Allah to order our son's affair for us. But look ye, forget him not, neither neglect his case. For should he come to any harm, it would infallibly kill me, since I see not the world save in him, and delight but in his life. She replied, With love and gladness, O my daughter, ask what you suffer by reason of his loss and absence. Then she sent to seek for her grandson, whilst Julnar returned to her kingdom, weeping-eyed and heavy-hearted, and indeed the gladness of the world was straitened upon her. As regards King Badr Basim, after Prince Jauharah had ensorcelled him, enchanted him, and had sent him with her handmaid to the thirsty island, saying, Leave him there to die of thirst, and Masina had set him down in a green islet, he abode days and nights in the semblance of a bird, eating of its fruits and drinking of its waters, and knowing not whither to go, nor how to fly, till one day, I got a pain in that, muscled it. Oh, that really hurt, just pinched me hard. Funny how we're mentioning a bird that didn't know how to fly, and it tweaked me just then. Charlie didn't fly very often either. So, where are we? Just got to breathe through that pain for a moment. Don't know how I wrenched that muscle. I didn't do any heavy lifting or anything foolish yesterday. Normally when I'm grieving I dig gardens, and maybe I hurt digging her little grave, but I don't think so. It's just odd. Anyway. Knowing not whither to go nor how to fly, till one day there came a certain fowler to the island to catch somewhat wherewithal to get his living. He espied King Badr Basim in his form of a white-robed bird with red bill and legs, captivating the sight and bewildering the thought, and looking thereat, said in himself, Verily, yonder is a beautiful bird, never saw I its like, in fairness or form. So he cast his net over Badr, and taking him, carried him to the town. mentally resolved to sell him for a high price. On his way, one of the townsfolk accosted him and said, "For how much this fowl, O fowler?" Quoth the fowler, "What wilt thou do with him an thou buy him?" Answered the other, "I will cut his throat and eat him." Whereupon said the birder, "Who could have the heart to kill this bird and eat him? Verily, I mean to present him to our king, who will give me more than thou wouldst give me, and will not kill him, but will divert himself by gazing upon his beauty and grace. For in all my life, since I have been a fowler, I never saw his like among land game or water fowl. The utmost thou wouldst give me for him, however much thou covet him, would be a dirham, and by Allah Almighty, I will not sell him." Then he carried the bird up to the king's palace, and when the king saw it, its beauty and grace pleased him, and the red colour of its beak and legs. So he sent an eunuch to buy it, who accosted the fowler and said to him, "Wilt thou sell this bird?" Answered he, "Nay, 'tis a gift from me to the king." So the eunuch carried the bird to the king and told him what the man had said, and he took it and gave the fowler 10 dinars, whereupon he kissed ground and fared forth. Then the eunuch carried the bird to the palace, and, placing him in a fine cage, hung him up after setting meat and drink by him. When the king came down from the divan, he said to the eunuch, "Where is the bird? Bring it to me, that I may look upon it, for, by Allah, 'tis beautiful." So the eunuch brought the cage and set it between the hands of the king, who looked, and seeing the food untouched, said, "By Allah, I wis not what it will eat, that I may nourish it." Then he called for food, and they laid the tables, and the king ate. Now when the bird saw the flesh and meats and fruits and sweetmeats, he ate of all that was upon the trays before the king, whereat the sovereign and all the bystanders marvelled, and the king said to his attendants, eunuchs, and mamelukes, "In all my life I never saw a bird eat as doth this bird." Then he sent an eunuch to fetch his wife, that she might enjoy looking upon the bird, and he went in to summon her and said, "O my lady, the king desireth thy presence, that thou mayest divert thyself with the sight of a bird he hath bought." When we set on the food, it flew down from its cage, and, perching on the table, ate of all that was thereon. So arise, O my lady, and solace thee with the sight, for it is goodly of aspect, and is a wonder of the wonders of the age. I wonder what kind of bird it was. Maybe a swan? Hearing these words, she came in haste, but when she noted the bird, she veiled her face and turned to fare away. The king rose up and, looking at her, asked, "Why dost thou veil thy face, when there is none in presence save the women and eunuchs who wait on thee and thy husband?" Answered she, "O king, this bird is no bird, but a man like thyself." He rejoined, Thou liest. This is too much of a jest. How could he be other than a bird? And she, O king, by Allah, I do not jest with thee, nor do I tell thee aught but the truth. For verily this bird is King Badar Basim, son of King Shahriman, lord of the land of the Persians, and his mother is Julnar, the Seaborn. Quoth the king, and how came he in this shape? And quoth she, Princess Jauharah, daughter of King Al-Samandal, hath enchanted him, and told him all that had passed with King Badar Basim from first to last. The king marvelled exceedingly at his wife's words and conjured her on his life to free Badar from his enchantment, for she was the notablest enchantress of her age. And not leave him in torment, saying, May Allah Almighty cut off Jauharah's hand, for a foul witch as she is, how little is her faith, and how great her craft and perfidy. Said the queen, Do thou say to him, O Badar Basim, enter yonder closet. So the king bade him enter the closet, and he went in obediently. Then the queen veiled her face, and taking in her hand a cup of water, entered the closet, where she pronounced over the water certain incomprehensible words, ending with, By the virtue of these mighty names and holy verses, and by the majesty of Allah Almighty, Creator of heaven and earth, the quickener of the dead, and appointer of the means of daily bread, and the terms determined, quit this thy form wherein thou art, and return to the shape in which the Lord createth thee. Hardly had she made an end of her words, when the bird trembled once and became a man, and the king saw before him a handsome youth, than whom on earth's face was none goodlier. But when King Badar Basim found himself thus restored to his own form, he cried, There is no God but the God, and Muhammad is the apostle of God. Glory be to the Creator of all creatures, and provider of their provision, and ordainer of their life terms, preordained. Then he kissed the king's hand and wished him long life. And the king kissed his head and said to him, O Badar Basim, tell me thy history from commencement to conclusion. So he told him his whole tale, concealing naught. And the king marvelled thereat, and said to him, O Badar Basim, Allah hath saved thee from the spell, but what hath thy judgment decided, and what thinkest thou to do? Replied he, O king of the age, I desire thy bounty, that thou equip me a ship with a company of thy servants, and all that is needful. For 'tis long since I have been absent, and I dread lest the kingdom depart from me. And I misdoubt me my mother is dead of grief for my loss, and this doubt is the stronger, for that she knoweth not what is come of me, nor whether I am alive or dead. Wherefore I beseech thee, O King, to crown thy favours to me by granting me what I seek. The king, after beholding the beauty and grace of Badar Basim and listening to his sweet speech, said, I hear and obey. So he fitted him out a ship, to which he transported all that was needful, and which he manned with a company of his servants. And Badar Basim set sail in it, after having taken leave of the king. They sailed over the sea 10 successive days with a favouring wind. But on the 11th day, the ocean became troubled with exceeding trouble. The ship rose and fell, and the sailors were powerless to govern her. So they drifted at the mercy of the waves, till the craft neared a rock in mid-sea, which fell upon her, and broke her up, and all on board were drowned, save King Badar Basim, who got astride one of the planks of the vessel, after having been nigh upon destruction. The plank ceased not to be borne by the set of the sea, whilst he knew not whither he went, and had no means of directing its motion, as the wind and waves wrought for 3 whole days. But on the 4th, the plank grounded with him on the seashore, where he sighted a white city, as it were a dove passing white, builded upon a tongue of land that jutted out into the deep, and it was goodly of ordinance, with high towers and lofty walls, against which the waves beat. When Badar Basim saw this, he rejoiced with exceeding joy, for he was well nigh dead of hunger and thirst, and dismounting from the plank, would have gone up the beach to the city, but there came down to him mules and asses and horses in number as the sea sands, and fell to striking at him and staying him from landing. So he swam round to the back of the city, where he waded to shore, and entering the place, found none therein, and marvelled at this, saying, Would I knew to whom cloth the city belong, wherein is no lord, nor any liege, and whence came these mules and asses and horses, that hindered me from landing? And he mused over his case. Then he walked on at hazard, till he espied an old man, a grocer. So he, saluted him, and the other returned his salam, and seeing him to be a handsome young man, said to him, O youth, whence comest thou, and what brought thee to the city? Badar told him his story, at which the old man marvelled, and said, O my son, didst thou see any on thy way? He replied, Indeed, O my father, I wondered in good sooth to sight a city void of folk. Quoth the sheikh, O my son, come up into the shop, lest thou perish. So Badar Basim went up into the shop and sat down, whereupon the old man set before him somewhat of food, saying, O my son, enter the inner shop. Glory be to him who hath preserved thee from yonder Satanas. It's spelled Sathanas. Sathanas? She-Sathanas. King Badar Basim was sore affrighted at the grocer's words, but he ate his fill and washed his hands, then glanced at his host and said to him, "O my lord, what is the meaning of these words? Verily thou hast made me fearful of the city and its folk." Replied the old man, "Know, O my son, that this is the city of the magicians, and its queen is as she were. She, Satan, a sorceress and a mighty enchantress, passing crafty and perfidious exceedingly. All thou sawest of horses and mules and asses were once sons of Adam like thee and me. They were also strangers, for whoever entereth the city, being a young man like thyself, this miscreant witch taketh him and hometh him for 40 days, after which she enchanteth him, and he becometh a mule or a horse or an ass of those animals thou sawest on the seashore. All these people hath she spelled, and, when it was thy intent to land, they feared lest thou be transmuted like themselves. So they counselled thee by signs that said, Land not of their solicitude for thee, fearing that haply she should do with thee like she had done with them. She possessed herself of the city and seized it from its citizens by sorcery, and her name is Queen Lub, which, being interpreted, meaneth in Arabic, Almanac of the Sun. When Badar Basim heard what the old man said, he was affrighted with sore affright, and trembled like reed and wind, saying in himself, Hardly do I feel me free from the affliction wherein I was by reason of sorcery, when destiny casteth me into yet sorrier case. And he fell a musing over his condition, and that which had betided him. When the sheikh looked at him and saw the violence of his terror, he said to him, O my son, come, sit at the threshold of the shop, and look upon yonder creatures, and upon their dress and complexion, and that wherein they are by reason of Gramayi, and dread not, for the queen and all the city love and tender me, and will not vex my heart or trouble my mind. So King Badar Basim came out and sat at the shop door, looking out upon the folk, and there passed by him a world of creatures without number. But when the people saw him, they accosted the grocer and said to him, O elder, is this thy captive, and thy prey gotten in these days? The old man replied, He is my brother's son. I heard that his father was dead, so I sent for him and brought him here, that I might quench with him the fire of my homesickness. Quoth they, Verily, he is a comely youth, but we fear for him from Queen Lub, lest she turn on thee with treachery and take him from thee, for she loveth handsome young men. Well, who wouldn't? I'm just an old lady. Well, I've still got an eye for handsome ones occasionally. There's no harm in admiring beauty and youth. I do get very irritated when those beauteous youths try to hit on me though, because I'm old enough to be their mother or even grandmother. It's not flattering when they do that, people of Earth. But I don't mind if they come and they're a bit of fun and they dance with me and we're just silly together and they're respectful, you know. So we had some lovely young men come and dance with me at the Brooklyn Standard and all be very sweet and respectful, and two young lads were even almost enchanting. I remember it well. When was it? June or July last year? I can't remember. Around about May, June or July last year. I was dancing with these two young lads. They would have been 19, 20, 21, not much older than that. I think they were brothers. They looked alike and they were similar height, very tall, very handsome young men. So go off, boys, go and dance with the young ladies. Don't need to be hanging around old Mama T. But we want to dance with you. And they did. They danced really lovely with me. Scott was giving me evils because he thought I was flirting, and he was a bit concerned because he's very protective over me in the Brooklyn Standard, for which I'm grateful to my darling friends' alter egos who watch over me. Not just Scott, but all three of them. But anyway, so these young lads were being quite fun and frivolous, but they weren't doing anything inappropriate actually. And then at one point I sat down on the big square seating at the table, and at one point I was sitting down kind of towards the end of the night, quite exhausted from washing all night, and I looked up and these two young men were like the two towering over me, looking down over me like that, and quite sweetly, like two, I don't know, protectors or knights to a queen. And I was like, am I dreaming? Have I left my body? And am I in some alternate universe? It was quite odd. But anyway, they were lovely lads. I don't think I saw them again. They didn't come again to the club and dance. Well, they might have kept away the following time that they came, maybe. But anyway, it was a bit of an unusual experience, to be honest. Looking up, being the old lady, these towering, giant, handsome youths looking down at me with great affection and sweetness. It's nice. Sometimes there's nice things, happen. Often there's nice things that happen there. It's not all horrible like what happened on Friday. Ugh. But anyway, we'll get over that. I got over it on Friday. I kept dancing and washing and had a powerful, wonderful time till the end of the night. So I did get over it, but it's creepy when people are creepy with me. Unhinges me a bit for the next week or two. But anyway, it's all good. And if I see that female again, I'll be having a word to security saying, make sure she doesn't come near me because she's vile. They'll be quite concerned if I tell her what she actually did, by the gods. Anyway, I don't know what's coming over people these days, but like I'd say, it's must be a figment of some kind of damage to the brain from an invasion of our species from that medical experiment they put us all through. It's awful, beyond awful. So I can try to be compassionate and understanding, but that was OTT. Her behaviour on Friday was, I ran out of compassion very quickly, and that was the living end. But anyway, here we go. Continue with our wonderful fairy story, because Titania's realm is a safe space where I can dwell in. Go out into the real world with real humans. You just can never know what you're going to get, do you? Oh dear goddess. Anyway, I'm not sure what time my friends are going to arrive. I think they said between 2 and 3. So better hurry along because I want to finish this before they get here. 4 more pages to go. So approximately another half hour or so. Oh dear goddess. Anyway, here we go, babies. Carry on. Quoth the sheikh, it's just said she loves handsome young men. Quoth the sheikh, the queen will not gainsay my commandment, for she loveth and tendereth me. And when she shall know that he is my brother's son, she will not molest him or afflict me in him, neither trouble my heart on his account. I wonder why he was the only human left human, because he wasn't young. I think that was the point, yes. Then King Badar Basim abode some months with the grocer, eating and drinking, and the old man loved him with exceeding love. Here's the mules and asses, and I could see even a stag there that came down to the seashore to try and drive him away, to protect him from being turned into an animal. One day, as he sat in the shop according to his custom, behold, there came up 1,000 eunuchs with drawn swords and clad in various kinds of raiment and girt with jewelled girdles. All rode Arabian steeds and bore in baldric Indian blades. They saluted the grocer as he passed his shop, and were followed by 1,000 damsels like moons, clad in various raiments of silks and satins, fringed with gold and embroidered with jewels of sorts, and spears were slung to their shoulders. In their midst rode a damsel mounted on a rabbite mare, saddled with a saddle of gold, set with various kinds of jewels and jacinths. It would have been really uncomfortable for that poor mare. And they reached in a body the sheikh's shop. The damsels saluted him and passed on till, lo and behold, up came Queen Lab in great state, and seeing King Badar Basim sitting in the shop, as he were the moon at its full, was amazed at his beauty and loveliness, and became passionately enamoured of him and distraught with desire of him. So she alighted, and sitting down by King Badar Basim, said to the old man, Whence hadst thou this handsome one? And the sheikh replied, He is my brother's son, and is lately come to me. Quoth Lab, Let him be with me this night, that I may talk with him. And quoth the old man, Wilt thou take him from me, and not enchant him? Said she, Yes. And said he, Swear to me. So she sware to him that she would not do him any hurt, or ensorcel him, and, bidding bring him a fine horse, saddled and bridled with a golden bridle, and decked with trappings, all of gold, set with jewels, gave the old man 1,000 dinars, saying, Use this. Then she took Badar Basim and carried him off, as he were the full moon on its 14th night. Whilst all the folk, seeing his beauty, were grieved for him, and said, By Allah, verily this youth deserveth not to be bewitched by yonder sorceress, the accursed. Now King Badar Basim heard all they said, but was silent, committing his case to Allah Almighty, till they came to her palace gate, where the emirs and eunuchs and lords of the realm took foot, and she bade the chamberlains dismiss her officers and grandees, who kissed ground and went away, while she entered the palace with Badar Basim and her eunuchs and women. Here he found a place whose like he had never seen at all, for it was builded of gold, and in its midst was a great basin brimful of water, midmost a vast flower garden. He looked at the garden and saw it abounding in birds of various kinds and colours, warbling in all manner tongues and voices, pleasurable and plaintive. And everywhere he beheld great state and dominion, and said, Glory be to God, who of his bounty and long suffering and long suffering provideth those who serve other than himself. The Queen sat down at a latticed window overlooking the garden, in a couch of ivory whereon was a high bed, and King Badar Basim seated himself by her side. She kissed him, and pressing him to her breast, bade her women bring a tray of food. So they brought a tray of red gold inlaid with pearls and jewels, and spread with all manner of viands. Excuse me. And he and she ate till they were satisfied, and washed their hands, after which the waiting women set on flagons of gold and silver and glass, together with all kinds of flowers and dishes of dried fruits. Then the Queen summoned the singing women, and there came 10 maidens, as they were moons, bending all manner of musical instruments. Queen Lab crowned a cup, and drinking it off, filled another, and passed it to King Badar Basim, who took and drank, and they ceased not to drink till they had their sufficiency. Then she bade the damsels sing, and they sang all manner modes, till it seemed to Badar Basim as if the palace danced with him for joy. His sense was ecstasied, and his breast broadened, and he forgot his strangerhood, and said in himself, Verily, this queen is young and beautiful, and I will never leave her, for her kingdom is vaster than my kingdom, and she is fairer than Princess Jauhara. So he ceased not to drink with her till eventide came, when they lighted the lamps and waxen candles, and diffused censer perfumes. Nor did they leave drinking till they were both drunken, and the singing women sang the while. Then Queen Lab, being in liquor, rose from her seat, and lay down on a bed, and dismissing her women, called to Badar Basim to come and sleep by her side. So he lay with her in all delight of life till the morning. When the Queen awoke, she repaired to the hammam bath in the palace. But there are some delightful people in this world. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not going to say why. It's just some really sweet, loving people, and I'm grateful for them. When the Queen awoke, she repaired to the hammam bath in the palace, King Badar Basim being with her, and they bathed and were purified. After which she clad in the finest of raiment, and called for the service of wine. What? More wine? Oh my goodness. It's a drinking fest, isn't it? So the waiting women brought the drinking gear, and they drank. Presently the queen arose, and taking Badar Basim by the hand, sat down with him on chairs, and bade bring food, whereof they ate, and washed their hands. Did I drink my tea? Yes, I did. Then the damsels fetched the drinking gear, and fruits, and flowers, and confections, and they ceased not to eat and drink, whilst the singing girls sang various airs till the evening. They gave not over eating and drinking and merrymaking for a space of 40 days, when the queen said to him, O Badar Basim, say me whether is the more pleasant, this place or the shop of thine uncle, the grocer? He replied, I've just got a funny memory, very funny memory. Oh, I'm all over the place. I'm getting tired probably. He replied, By Allah, O Queen, this is the pleasanter, for my uncle is but a beggarly man, who vendeth pot-herbs. She laughed at his words, and the twain lay together in the pleasantest of case till the morning, when King Badar Basim awoke from sleep, and found not Queen Love by his side. So he said, Would heaven I knew where can she have gone? And indeed he was troubled at her absence, and perplexed about the case, for she stayed away from him a great while, and did not return. So he donned his dress, and went seeking her, but not finding her. And he said to himself, Haply she is gone to the flower garden. Thereupon he went out into the garden, and came to a running rill, beside which he saw a white she-bird, and on the stream bank a tree full of birds of various colours, and he stood and watched the birds without their seeing him. And behold, a blackbird flew down upon that white she-bird, and fell to billing her pigeon fashion. Then he leapt on her, and trod her 3 consecutive times. What? Anyway, after suspend belief, people are there. After which the bird changed and became a woman. Badir looked at her, and lo, it was Queen Love. So he knew that the blackbird was a man transmued, and that she was enamoured of him, and had transformed herself into a bird, that he might enjoy her. Wherefore jealousy got hold upon him, and he was wroth with the queen because of the blackbird. When he returned to his place, and lay down on the carpet bed, then he returned to his place and lay down on the carpet bed, and after an hour or so, she came back to him, and fell to kissing him and jesting with him, but being sore incensed against her, he answered her not a word. She saw what was to do with him, and was assured that he had witnessed what befell her when she was a white bird, and was trodden by the blackbird, yet she discovered naught to him, but concealed what ailed her. Odd. Then when he had done her need. What? He said to her, I think that was a euphemism for something. He said to her, O Queen, I would have thee give me leave to go to my uncle's shop, for I long after him, and have not seen him these 40 days. She replied, Go to him, but tarry not from me, for I cannot brook to be parted from thee, nor can I endure without thee an hour. Oh, she's got it bad, hasn't she, baby boys and baby girls? Yes, I know how that feels. He said, I hear and I obey, and, mounting, rode to the shop of the sheikh, the grocer, who welcomed him, and rose to him, and embracing him, said to him, How hast thou fared with yonder idolatress? He replied, I was well in health and happiness till this last night, and told him what had passed in the garden with the blackbird. Now, when the old man heard his words, he said, Beware of her, for know that the birds upon the tree were all young men and strangers, whom she loved and enchanted and turned into birds. That blackbird thou sawest was one of her Mamelukes, whom she loved with exceeding love, till he cast his eyes upon one of her women, wherefore she changed him into a blackbird. And, continued the sheikh, whenas she lusted after him, she transformeth herself into a she-bird, that he may enjoy her, for she still loveth him with passionate love. So that explains a lot, doesn't it? When she found thou knewest of her case, she plotted evil against thee, for she loveth thee not wholly. But no harm shall betide thee from her, so long as I protect thee. Therefore, fear nothing, for I am a Muslim, by name Abdallah, and there is none in my day more magical than I. Yet do I not make use of Gramaye, save upon constraint. Reasonable. I'm pretty much the same way, although I'm a Jew by choice. Babies. Many a time have I put to naught the sorceries of yonder accursed, and delivered folk from her, and I care not for her, because she can do me no hurt. Nay, she feareth me with exceeding fear, as do all in the city who, like her, are magicians, and serve the fire, not the omnipotent sire. So, tomorrow, come thou to me, and tell me what she doth with thee, for this very night she will cast about to destroy thee, and I will tell thee how thou shalt do with her, that thou mayst save thyself from her malice. Then King Badar Basim farewelled the sheikh, and returned to the queen, whom he found awaiting him. When she saw him, she rose, and seating him and welcoming him, brought him meat and drink, and the two ate till they had enough, and washed their hands, after which she called for wine, and they drank till the night was well nigh half spent, when she plied him with cup after cup, till he was drunken and lost sense and wit. When she saw him thus, she said to him, I conjure thee by Allah, and by whatso thou worshippest, if I ask thee a question, wilt thou inform me rightly, and answer me truly? And he, being drunken, answered, Yes, O my lady. Quoth she, O my lord and light of mine eyes, when thou awokest last night, and foundest me not, thou soughtest me, till thou sawest me in the garden under the guise of a white she-bird, and also thou sawest the blackbird leap on me and tread me, which means they mated. That's how birds mate. It's a bit odd, people of earth. Something my little Charlie ably avoided all her life. She was a celibate asexual, like her mama. Except mama has not been a celibate asexual all her life, just saying, but a large part of it, which is why I'm very nervous about re-entering my full sexual powers and prowess as a woman, because it has to be the right man at the right time, someone who's going to be there for the rest of our lives together. Because I certainly don't want any more wastrels like I had in the past. Just saying. Anyway, just kind of had to chuckle about my little Charlie though. There's videos on YouTube of me teasing her going, oh look Charlie, the boy Laura keeps her here. Oh, and they're doing the full courtship ritual. Charlie's running screaming to her mother for protection. It's a delightful memory. Oh, my little baby girl, wherever you are, blessed be. Now I will tell the truth of this matter. That blackbird was one of my mamelukes, whom I loved with exceeding love. But one day he cast his eyes upon a certain of my slave girls, wherefore jealousy got hold upon me, and I transformed him by my spells into a blackbird, and her I slew. But now I cannot endure without him a single hour, so whenever I lust after him, I change myself into a she-bird and go to him, that he may leap me and enjoy me, even as thou hast seen. Art thou not therefore incensed against me because of this, albeit by the virtue of fire and light, shade and heat? I love thee more than ever, and have made thee my portion of the world. He answered, being drunken, thy conjecture of the cause of my rage is correct, and it had no reason other than this. With this she embraced him and kissed him, and made great show of love for him, a love to him. Then she lay down to sleep, and he by her side. Presently, about midnight, she rose from the carpet bed, and King Badar Basim was awake, but he feigned sleep, and watched stealthily to see what she would do. She took out of a red bag a something red, which she planted amiddlemost the chamber, and it became a stream, running like the sea, after which she took a handful of barley, and strewing it on the ground, watered it with water from the river, whereupon it became wheat in the ear, and she gathered it and ground it into flour. Then she set it aside, and returning to bed, lay down by Badar Basim till morning, when she arose and washed his face and asked, when he arose and washed his face, and asked her leave to visit the Sheikh, his uncle. She gave him permission, and he repaired to Abdallah and told him what had passed. The old man laughed and said, by Allah, this miscreant witch plotteth mischief against thee, but reck thou not of her ever. Then he gave him a pound of parched corn and said to him, what would be parched corn? A pound. Corn flour? Maybe. Or corn kernels, dried corn kernels. More likely that. And said to him, take this with thee, and know that when she seeth it, she will ask thee, what is this, and what wilt thou do with it? Do thou answer, abundance of good things is good, and eat of it. Then will she bring forth to thee parched grain of her own, and say to thee, eat of this so weak, and do thou feign to her that thou, is it my friends? I think it is. Might be my friends, in which case I'll have to rush off. How many pages have we got left? Only 3. Well, I'll read till they come to the gate, and then it'll be a very abrupt goodbye, people of Earth. I'll say goodbye now, people of Earth, so that you don't get a shock when I go bing, because I prioritise living people that are present in 3D reality in full form and then come to the gate or the door. I've always been that way. And do thou feign to her, not that you're not living, don't get me wrong, but, you're in virtual reality watching this, whereas they're physically here, is what I mean by that. Just thought I'd better clarify that point very quickly. It might not be them anyway, because I don't quite recognise the car. But they may have 2 cars. Do they stop here? No, they've gone on their way, so it's not them. Oh, the anticipation, people. See how I look forward to getting visitors? It's sad, isn't it, how isolated I actually am, but never mind. I'm looking forward to my visitors. And say to thee, eat of this so weak, and do thou feign to her that thou eatest thereof. But eat of this instead, and beware, and have a care, lest thou eat of hers even a grain. For, an thou eat so much as a grain thereof, her spells. Where are we? Will have power over thee, and she will enchant thee and say to thee, leave this form of a man, whereupon thou wilt quit thine own shape for what shape she will. But, an thou eat not thereof, her enchantments will be null and void, and no harm will betide thee therefrom, whereat she will be shamed with shame exceeding, and say to thee, I did but jest with thee. Then will she make a show of love and fondness to thee, but this will all be but hypocrisy in her and craft. And do thou also make a show of love to her, and say to her, O my lady and light of mine eyes, eat of this parched barley, and see how delicious it is. And if she eat thereof, though it be but a grain, take water in thy hand, and throw it in her face, saying, quit this human form, for what form soever thou wilt have her take, then leave her and come to me, and I will counsel thee what to do. So Badar Basim took leave of him, and returning to the palace, went into the queen, who said to him, welcome and well come, and good cheer to thee. And she rose and kissed him, saying, thou hast tarried long from me, O my lord. He replied, I have been with my uncle, and he gave me to eat of this so weak. Quoth she, We have better than that." Then she laid his parched sawik on one plate, and hers in another, and said to him, "Eat of this, for 'tis better than thine." So he feigned to eat of it, and when she thought he had done so, she took water in her hand and sprinkled him therewith, saying, "Quit this form, O thou gallows bird, thou miserable, and take that of a mule, one-eyed and foul of favour." What a nasty woman. Don't think I like her very much. Some people probably deserve that though. Like that female at the club on Friday night. I wouldn't turn into her into a one-eyed mule. I'd turn her into something that gets raped every day by a blackbird. No, that's nasty. Two wrongs don't make a right, people of Earth. However, she better not darken my aura ever again. But, not that I resort to magic, but if I have to, I have to. But he changed not, which, when she saw, she arose and went up to him and kissed him between the eyes, saying, "O my beloved, I did but jest with thee. Bear me no malice because of this." Quoth he, "O my lady, I bear thee no whit of malice. Nay, I am assured that thou lovest me. But eat of this, my parched barley." So she ate a mouthful of Abdallah's sawik, but no sooner had it settled in her stomach than she was convulsed, and King Badar Basim took water in his palm and threw it in her face, saying, "Quit this human form and take that of a dapple mule." No sooner had he spoken than she found herself changed into a she-mule, whereupon the tears rolled down her cheeks, and she fell to rubbing her muzzle against his feet. Then he would have bridled her, but she would not take the bit, so he left her, and going to the grocer, told him what had passed. Abdallah brought out for him a bridle and bade him rein her forthwith. So he took it to the palace. And when she saw him, she came up to him, and he set the bit in her mouth, and mounting her, as in riding her, just clarifying that quickly, rode forth to find the sheikh. But when the old man saw her, he rose and said to her, "Almighty Allah confound thee, O accursed woman." Then quoth he to Badar, "O my son, there is no more tarrying for thee in the city. So ride her and fare with her whither thou wilt, and beware lest thou commit the bridle to any." King Badar thanked him, and farewelling him, fared on 3 days without ceasing, till he drew near another city, and there met him an old man, grey-headed and comely, who said to him, "Whence comest thou, O my son?" Badar replied, "From the city of this witch." And the old man said, "Thou art my guest tonight." He consented and went with him. But by the way, behold, they met an old woman who wept when she saw the mule, and said, "There is no God but God. Verily this mule resembleth my son's she-mule, which is dead, and my heart acheth for her. So Allah upon thee, O my lord, do thou sell her to me?" He replied, "By Allah, O my mother, I cannot sell her." But she cried, "Allah upon thee, do not refuse my request, for my son will surely be a dead man, except I buy him this mule." And she importuned him till he exclaimed, I will not sell her save for 1,000 dinars, saying in himself, whence should this old woman get 1,000 gold pieces? Thereupon she brought out from her girdle a purse containing 1,000 ducats, which when King Badar Basim saw, he said, O my mother, I did but jest with thee. I cannot sell her. Every car in Brisbane goes past when you're waiting for people to arrive. But anyway, it's all good. But the old man looked at him and said, O my son, in this city none may lie, for whoso lieth they put to death. So King Badar Basim dismounted from and delivered the mule to the old woman. She drew the bit from her mouth, and taking water in her hand, sprinkled the mule therewith, saying, O my daughter, quit this shape for that form wherein thou wast aforetime. Upon this she was straightway restored to her original semblance, and the two women embraced and kissed one another. So King Badar Basim knew that the old woman was Queen Love's mother, and that he had been tricked, and would have fled, when lo, the old woman whistled a loud whistle, and her call was obeyed by an ifrit, which is a kind of genie, as he were a great mountain, whereat Badar was affrighted and stood still. Then the old woman mounted on the ifrit's back, taking her daughter behind her and King Badar Basim before her, and the ifrit flew off with them, nor was it a full hour ere they were at the palace of Queen Love, who sat down on the throne of kingship and said to Badar, Gallows bird that thou art, now am I come hither, and have attained to that I desired, and soon will I show thee how I will do with thee, and with yonder old man, the grocer. How many favours have I shown him? Yet he doth me forwardness, for thou hast not attained thine end, but by means of him. Then she took water, and sprinkled him therewith, saying, Quit the shape wherein thou art, for the form of a foul-favoured fowl, the foulest of all fowls. What a neat trick. I wish I had those abilities. And she set him in a cage, and cut off from him meat and drink. But one of her women, seeing this cruelty, took compassion on him and gave him food and water without her knowledge. One day the damsel took her mistress at unawares, and, going forth the palace, repaired to the old grocer, to whom she told the whole case, saying, Queen Love is minded to make an end of thy brother's son. The sheikh thanked her and said, There is no help but that I take the city from her, and make thee queen thereof in her stead. Then he whistled a loud whistle, and there came forth to him an ifrit with 4 wings, to whom he said, Take up this damsel, and carry her to the city of Julnar the Seaborn, and her mother Farashah, for they twain are the most powerful magicians on the face of the earth. And he said to the damsel, When thou comest thither, tell them that King Badar Basim is Queen Love's captive. Then the Ifrit took up his load, and, flying off with her, in a little while set her down upon the terrace roof of Queen Julnar's palace. So she descended, and going into the Queen, kissed the earth and told her what had passed to her son, first and last, whereupon Julnar rose to her and entreated her with honour and thanked her. Then she let beat the drums in the city and acquainted her lieges and the lords of her realm with the good news that King Badar Basim was found, after which she and her mother Farashah and her brother Salih assembled all the tribes of the Jinn and the troops of the Main, for the kings of the Jinn obeyed them since the taking of King Al-Samandal. Presently, they all flew up into the air and, lighting down on the city of the sorceress, sacked the town and the palace and slew all the unbelievers therein in the twinkling of an eye. Then said Julnar to the damsel, "Where is my son?" And the slave girl brought her the cage and, signing to the bird within, cried, "That is thy son." So Julnar took him forth of the cage and sprinkled him with water, saying, "Quit this shape for the form wherein thou wast aforetime." Nor had she made an end of her speech ere he shook and became a man as before, whereupon his mother, seeing him restored to human shape, embraced him, and he wept with sore weeping. On likewise did his uncle Salih and his grandmother and the daughters of his uncle, and fell to kissing his hands and feet. Then Julnar sent for Sheikh Abdallah, and thanking him for his kind dealing with her son, married him to the damsel whom he had dispatched to her with news of him, and made him king of the city. Moreover, she summoned those who survived of the citizens, and they were Muslims, and made them swear fealty to him and take the oath of loyalty, whereto they replied, hearkening and obedience. Then she and her company farewelled him and returned to their own capital. The townsfolk came out to meet them with drums beating, and decorated the place 3 days, and held high festival of the greatest of their joy for the return of their king Badar Basim. After this, Badar said to his mother, "O my mother, naught remains but that I marry, and we be all united." She replied, "Right is thy rede, O my son, but wait till we ask who befitteth thee among the daughters of the kings." Just for a moment.
We want to assume quantity of gravity. So, consistent.
Just want to check something quickly here. No, that was me. Okay. All right. Right is thy rede, O my son, but wait till we ask who befitteth thee among the daughters of the kings. And his grandmother, Farashah, and the daughters of both his uncles said, "O Badar Basim, we will help thee to win thy wish forthright." Then each of them arose and fared forth questing in the lands. Whilst Julnar sent out her waiting women on the necks of Ifrits, bidding them leave not a city, nor a king's palace, without noting all the handsome girls that were therein. But when King Badar Basim saw the trouble they were taking in this matter, he said to Julnar, "O my mother, leave this thing, for none will content me save Jauharah, daughter of King Al-Samandal, for that she is indeed a jewel according to her name. Oh, bless his loyal, loving heart. Eyes only for his beloved one. I like his style. Wonderful man." Replied Julnar, "I know that which thou seekest," and bade forthright bring Al-Samandal, the king. As soon as he was present, she sent for Badar Basim and acquainted him with the king's coming, whereupon he went in to him. Now, when Al-Samandal was aware of his presence, he rose to him and saluted him and bade him welcome, and King Badar Basim demanded of him his daughter Jauharah in marriage. Quoth he, "She is thine handmaid and at thy service and disposition," and dispatched some of his suite, bidding them seek her abode, and after telling her that her sire was in the hands of King Badar Basim, to bring her forthright. So they flew up into the air and disappeared, and they returned after a while with the princess, who, as soon as she saw her father, went up to him and threw her arms around his neck. Then looking at her, he said, "O my daughter, know that I have given thee in wedlock to this magnanimous sovereign and valiant lion, King Badar Basim, son of Queen Julnar the Seaborn, for that he is the goodliest of the folk of his day, and most powerful, and the most exalted of them in degree, and the noblest in rank. He befitteth none but thee, and thou none but him." Answered she, "I may not gainsay thee, O my sire, do as thou wilt, for indeed chagrin and despite are at an end, and I am one of his handmaids." So they summoned the Qazi and the witnesses who drew the marriage contract between King Badar Basim and the Princess Jauharah, and the citizens decorated the city and beat the drums of rejoicing. And they released all who were in the jails, whilst the king clothed the widows and the orphans, and bestowed robes of honour upon the lords of the realm and emirs and grandees. And they made bride feasts and held high festival night and morn 10 days, and at the end of which time they displayed the bride in 9 different dresses before King Badar Basim, who bestowed an honourable robe upon King Al-Samandal and sent him back to his country and people and kinsfolk. And they ceased not from living the most delectable of life and the most solaceful of days, eating and drinking and enjoying every luxury, till there came to them the destroyer of delights and the sunderer of societies. And this is the end of their story. May Allah have mercy on them all, and upon my little bird who was sundered from me yesterday. Goddess bless. Moreover, O auspicious King, a tale is also told anent. And this is all that hath come down to us of the story of Julnar the Seaborn and her son King Badar Basim of Persia, said Scheherazade, as she perceived the dawn of day. It's in that direction actually. And ceased saying her permitted say. But I also have, O King, a tale called The Rogueries of Dalila the Crafty, which I shall read to you tomorrow, no doubt, unless I get otherwise distracted by something of some importance. And it is the third last story of this wonderful magical book. Or is it? How long is the conclusion? Yes, 3 more stories to go. So, may the goddess and the god, the Holy One, and all manifestations of love, light, truth, peace, prosperity, good health, joy and delight, truest, greatest, most honouring, most precious, most sweet and ennobling and comforting and kind, blessed love be thine and mine, according to our appointed destinies and our appointed timing, chosen by the gods of our understandings. Be upon us, and go in peace, go in joy, and I'm going to get ready for my guests, which, since they haven't come yet, I presume will be arriving around about 3 p.m. Maybe I might have to message them and say what's happening, but hopefully I don't. I don't like having to apply pressure on people, because anxieties and nervous systems can be a bit fraught. A lot of my friends are wonderful people but highly unusual and have a delicate nervous system. So she said that they are definitely coming this morning, so I will trust in that and see them when they arrive here without me flying into any panic mode. But I'm going to go and get the food I bought for them laid out so it's all ready when they arrive, and I'm excited. So have a beautiful day, people of Earth, and stay cool and stay happy here in Brisbane, Australia, and I'll be back tomorrow to continue the next story. Bye for now.